welcome back again for another episode. Today we're going to be talking about reasons and motivation to step into eating disorder recovery because a lot of times we just get kind of caught up in how we're feeling all the time and we're like, oh, things are never going to change. But that's a really toxic place to stay, and we need to constantly challenge our eating disorder thoughts and really come to a place where every day we're nurturing our brain to be able to think in a different way. But sometimes, being real, we do need some help and we do need to have some reasons behind why we're doing this. So, if you've read my book, Freed and Fierce, you'll understand what I mean because inside that book, right in the beginning, we talk about establishing your why. And all of us have that inside of us, and we know that there's a reason why we want to recover, but if you don't declare that, and if you don't bring that out into the open, it can easily get buried under all the feelings that you feel every single day. And I'm not going to discount you. Those thoughts and those feelings are just so overwhelming that sometimes you have nothing left. And I remember how that feels. I remember how much energy that takes, and that is one of the reasons why this episode exists today. So, we'll dive in. There's 6 reasons why we want to start thinking about recovery. And this is actually sort of a special episode because it ends up becoming sort of a mastermind. I was looking through the community and I was looking at all the reasons why people wanted to recover. And I wanted to combine them into a really beautiful episode for all of us because sometimes it's not like we're not creative and we can't think of things for ourselves, but when we can put our heads together and really learn from each other, then we can make a really powerful why for our recovery. So I want to help you with this episode create a new edge for yourself and become more motivated and more empowered each and every single day because we need to start feeling better. We need to start feeling more empowered and like we can actually reach out and grab what we want. And it goes for many different areas of our lives, not just eating disorders, but we're going to apply these for eating disorder recovery. So number 1 is just remembering that food is fuel for us. Now, I've heard differing opinions on this. Some people think that this doesn't help them, but other people really do resonate with this and thinking about food as fuel. Like gasoline goes in a car and the gasoline powers the car for a certain amount of miles. And we know when our tank is empty because it tells us. And while eating disorder recovery, knowing when the tank is empty, sometimes takes some practice and, just getting in touch with your body's hunger and fullness signals. This is a really illuminating way to think about food and thinking about how food is metabolized in your body. And if you're running on empty, you can't really do that much. And even if you are just moving your body and going through the motions, it's kind of how well are you really able to show up? You're probably not showing up in your 100% potential. And that was something that I personally discovered during my recovery was I went from really kind of functioning on the low spectrum of what I was capable of, and I felt in my full potential because my cells were nourished, my brain was nourished, I was getting the calories and the nutrients that I needed to actually survive, and not just survive, but thrive. And that was so important to me, and sometimes we don't really know where to begin. We have to take baby steps where you can start with one really nourishing meal per day. And if you're not really sure what a nourishing meal is, you can hop on the internet and start to look at nourishing meals. You can type that into the search bar, or you can actually just ask yourself, what do I feel would nourish me? What could I choose? Because that's different for everybody, We're all bio-individual. We all want different things. We all have different palates that we have and enjoy food differently. So giving yourself that baby step approach of maybe doing one really nourishing meal per day as you start to get used to how that helps you feel, and take note of that. And remembering that fluids are really important as well, getting enough hydration for recovery. It's just one of those things that needs to be in place all the time, kind of like sleep. So you don't want water or dehydration to be the issue and reason why you're feeling fatigued. It's such a simple thing that, we don't want that to just be the reason why we're not succeeding in meeting our recovery goals. Number 2 is thinking of your life as deserving of abundance in all areas and not just food. So getting to a place where you can really see your life as deserving abundance in relationships, finances, career, and being honest that sometimes these areas do need work as you recover. And when you do start to view yourself as deserving of abundance in all of these areas, you communicate to your brain that your life is comprised of more than food, body, and self-acceptance. And that's really important because when we can realize our value, we can realize what we actually deserve and how deep our lives go, then it can pull us out of our heads, it can pull us out of the eating disorder brain, and it allows you to think less eating disorder thoughts when you're focusing on improving multiple areas of your life. And I don't really like to use it as a distraction, but I like to use it as a tool to help me to improve more areas of life because I really do think that I deserve it. Number 3 is giving yourself the gift of gentleness, compassion, and kindness. So a lot of times in our eating disorder thoughts, we're very critical of ourselves. We look at our body and we don't like what we see. We look at the scale number and we say, that depresses me. I don't deserve to eat today. Those types of thoughts and feelings can really just overrun your brain, and you end up not really saying anything to yourself that communicates that you love yourself or you're valued, and that can really steal away joy at the end of the day. So that is one of the other reasons to approach recovery and step in, because being able to talk nice to yourself, be more compassionate and kind, is going to actually nourish your brain and your spirit, and then that will actually start to reflect in your face, your cells. All of our cells have a vibrational energy, and the words that we speak and the thoughts that we think over ourselves actually make a difference. Believe it or not, it's really, really awesome, because even if you don't believe some of those things yet, you can actually start to nurture yourself in that direction of healing by starting that out. And there's a saying that goes, you catch more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. So being nice to yourself, even when mistakes or you mess up, you can take that as information and keep moving and just pick yourself up from that moment on. What really matters is what you do moving forward and learn from the past and what did work or didn't work. Number 4 is being able to be more strong and shapely, if you will. This is a real desire for so many people, and it was for me as well. Even though I was overweight before I recovered, and my weight did decrease during my binge eating disorder recovery, I've spoken to a lot of people who are afraid of gaining weight, but they actually did conquer those feelings by recognizing that they wanted to develop a butt because they were having discomfort when they sat and there was not that much cushion there. So when you are wanting to recover from eating disorder behaviors because you want to be stronger and you want to be able to have energy to push through workouts or strength training, that can actually be really empowering, as when you do feel stronger in your muscles, you tend to feel stronger in your spirit and you tend to feel more self-confident, which that is something we all need more of. We need to be working on loving ourselves and just feeling like we're crushing it. And when you can feel strong in your physical body, it does translate to mental and spiritual as well. So keep that in mind. Number 5 is stop regarding food as the enemy. Now, when we think of food as the enemy or like a drag in life, we can't really improve our relationship with it. We can try, but we have to begin seeing it as something that's really good, nourishing, and keeps us healthy and keeps us alive. That's when we can really start to develop a healthy relationship with food. And it's really important that we do this, because the sooner we do this, the sooner we can start healing our body, our tissues, and our minds. We can start feeling smarter. We can start showing up as our true potential. And I will say that that's a really good other reason to want to recover, is to step into your true potential and stop feeling down on yourself and feel like you're lost. I certainly felt lost when I was sick, And I felt much better, much more clear on my purpose and who I was, what I bring the world when I recovered. And it really did take reshaping my relationship with food. I had to really learn to be okay with eating dietary fat. For whatever reason, that was something that I really struggled with. So that was a huge step up for me when I was able to do that. And number 6 is being able to get your period back and stabilize your hormones. So a lot of times in recovery, we lose our period if we're not eating regularly. And that can actually be damaging to the rest of our body because as a woman in eating disorder recovery, your hormones are they rely on each other and they need to be in balance in order for us to be healthy and for us to be in touch with our hunger and fullness signals. So when your period goes away, that's a sign that you're not getting enough calories a lot of times, and there's stress on your hormones. And the gut has a lot to do with hormone health as well. So getting your gut healed up can help stabilize your appetite, any cravings that you might be struggling with. I noted that when I healed my gut and recovered from my eating disorder, I really didn't think about food anymore. And that was a really big gift. So that would be a really top reason to step into recovery. Healing your gut, getting those hormones balanced, and really learning how to take care of your gut and keep hormones healthy. Because when you can do that, you actually balance a lot of feelings and thoughts and emotions as well as like a secondary benefit. So that was all for today's episode. I'm really happy that you listened. And if you haven't checked out Freed and Fierce in the Amazon bookstore, I just released my first book ever about eating disorder recovery, where I guide you through a 7-pillar system to learn how to have lifelong eating disorder recovery. I included everything in there that I learned through my own recovery process, and I included like steps to implement that into your own life. We'll see you next week. Next week is actually kind of a really exciting episode because we're going to talk about mental tips for helping your brain in recovery as well. So today we talked about reasons and motivation. Next week we'll talk about how you can actually start changing your thinking if you're having trouble with that. So can't wait to see you next week. Bye.